So as y'all can see, I've done a little bit to my office. Got this little corner set up now. Looks nice, looks nice. Okay, so today we're going to be talking about the Feiyu Pocket. This is Feiyu answer to the DJI Osmo. Not the Osmo Action, that's like a little GoPro. The one before it, the Osmo, that was like a small little gimbal camera that you can bring anywhere with you. So the Feiyu Pocket, the Feiyu Pocket, can shoot 4K 60, 1080 120, and is actually small enough to fit in your back pocket, even your front pocket. Okay, so first of all, before I say anything, I want to point this out that I am partnered now with Lencarta and Feiyu Ireland and UK as an affiliate. However, all of this, them giving me this gimbal for free, asking me to make a review, doesn't influence my judgment on this device at all. It never does. Just like with Artlist, just like with Tropic Color, even though I'm partnered with those companies, I always give my honest opinion on whether or not I like their products. And stuff that I don't like, I will talk about. And there are a couple of things I don't like about this device, but there's also a lot of things I do like. So let's get into that. So the Feiyu Pocket, it's a tiny, lightweight camera that is also on a gimbal that can actually fit in your pocket, shoots good video, everything's stabilized, it's got a bunch of functions that I'll get into, and it's actually really fun to use, and it's very simple to use, another plus. So let's get into those features. It of course shoots video, it can shoot 4K 60, 1080 120, it can shoot 2.7K as well, which is a nice little touch. It's good to have a little bit of an in-between, which of course gives you access to more frame rates. The 4K 60 is what got me. Funnily enough, I've not been able to test this because I don't have a micro SD card that's fast enough. I didn't realize I didn't have a fast micro SD card, of all things. It can shoot panoramas, it can shoot time lapses, motion lapses, hyperlapses. It can take photos as well, like just a normal bulk standard photo. And it also has a dedicated slow motion mode so that you don't have to keep like going into the video settings and then changing the frame rate. You can just click the slow motion mode and then boom, you're in slow motion. So that's a nice little touch. It's like the slow and quick button on the A7S III. It features a daylight viewable 1 inch, I think it's an inch. This looks kind of like an inch size screen, which it's daylight viewable in my experience. I mean, it's not like it's a super bright monitor, but it is bright enough to see yourself. I mean, I've been able to see myself and I've been recording at like 2 p.m, you know, like I've been going to the park recording myself. It has a micro SD card slot, as I've said before. It has a record button, a mode button, which lets you switch between the 4 types of gimbal modes there are. So there's full lock, which you can access by holding the M button down. There is pan follow, which is what it defaults to, where it will only follow your pan movement, but not your tilt. Then it has full follow, which will follow your pan and tilt, but not your roll. And then it has like all follow mode, or is that full follow? I think it's pan, tilt, follow, and then full follow. I forget the names, but that's where it just follows everything you do. Pan, tilt, roll, which, you know, it means you can create different effects. Can't do the 360 spin, like on their bigger models, like the AK4500 or the AK2000S. Just saying, that would have been a cool little thing, like, oh hey, it can still do it by the way, but as far as my testing is gone, it can't do it, which, to be honest, I don't really care. I never used it a lot. But anyway, there is also a Wi-Fi setting mode, which is very important, but I'll come back to that later. So you interact with this system by swiping, kind of like on a GoPro. So you swipe right to see your previous clips and photos. You swipe left to access the different capture modes, and either tap or swipe left on the mode you want to access its settings, and then swipe right to get back to the main screen. Swipe up for quick access to your recenter button, follow speed or action mode settings, your flip setting and your mode setting. And then swipe down to access more menus like your quality, system setup, display size, pro mode being on or off, and your screen brightness. Oh yeah, worth mentioning that if you double click the mode button, you recenter the gimbal. If you triple click it, you flip it around so you can film yourself. And if you hold it down, that's how you access the full lock mode. So the Feiyu Pocket is a tiny 4K camera that can actually fit in your pocket. And because of that, I think it would make a pretty great vlogging camera. So let's go test that out. So now we're on the Feiyu Pocket. Say hi, Yasmin.
Hi, Yasmin.
Rate at which it follows is a little slow. Let's go down the stairs though. Ooh, very stable indeed. Ignore the mess and stuff around me because we just moved house. Just gonna see how this handles from like a dark darkly lit area to right outside. Auto exposure is pretty good. I wonder how the audio quality is. That's my main concern. This thing is so small and I'm pretty sure... Where even is the microphone on this? Well, that's pretty cool. Oh, let's bring it back inside now. Good boy. Good boy. Yeah, so Arlo loves sticks. Hence, the absolute mess of sticks. Arlo, down. Lie down. Up. Spin. Arlo, spin. Spin. Arlo, spin. Down. 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 Stay. This is a hard one. Stay, Arlo. Stay. 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 Arlo, stay. Stay. Good boy. Close. One thing that I know a lot of people are going to compare the Feiyu Pocket to is the Feiyu Pocket to is the DJI Osmo. Now I haven't used DJI Osmo personally, so I can't really compare it, but I do want to do another video after this video where I either rent one or just find someone who has one and just do like a comparison between the two. I had this in my back pocket the entire 30 minutes we're in there. I didn't really vlog anything because it's a mall, but it was very comfortable. At one point I didn't even notice it was there. Like, I was trying to remember, this thing's in my back pocket, it's on load, make sure no one steals it. But literally at one point I couldn't even feel my back pocket, so I really do like the size of this. With the I picked this up thinking it was the case. With the RX 100, it is pocketable, but it's not something that you will forget is in your back pocket. And well, I mean, in men's jeans anyway, that's like the bigger pocket of the 4. So yeah, but size-wise, this thing's awesome. So we're walking Arlo right now, and I figured now would be a great test to see how well this thing holds up whilst I'm running at 80% speed, trying to keep up with Arlo whilst he runs and probably chases me too. Come on! Whoa! I think it stopped recording halfway through. That's kind of annoying. Not sure why. So I just recorded. I'm facing this way whilst walking that way just because the lighting's a bit better. But just checked how the footage looked. I don't know if the reason I stopped recording at 1:01 was because I accidentally slipped and hit the record button. But the footage was very stable. I'm actually quite impressed. That was me running like full-ish speed because I had to make sure I didn't hit Arlo or like with my feet whilst I was running, because he does like to go in front, as you would have heard. But yeah, I'm actually impressed so far.
Good boy, okay? Good boy.
You guys better appreciate that shot I just got, because I just... stinging nettle! So far I'm actually really enjoying using this to vlog. Like, I know I've kind of said this already, but I do like the convenience of it. Like, usually I'd use an A7S II. That's what I used to use for my Pocket 4K. And I'd use that to vlog. And yeah, good quality, but huge setup. You know, with the Gorilla Pod, the camera itself, a microphone, sometimes rocking an external monitor as well. It was a lot. Using this, still haven't heard the audio yet. So that's the one thing. Everything I say could be completely null and void if the audio isn't good. But using this is actually really, really refreshing because it's just so small and easy to use. So I think this is a pretty great vlogging camera. It fits in your pocket, it shoots 4K. You're basically always in focus anyways. I don't really know if it's an AF system or if it's kind of like a infinity, like aperture, like infinite focus kind of thing going on. I really enjoyed using it. It was a fun device to use for vlogging, but, and I know it was probably the first thing that you all noticed, that audio though. The audio is a bit of a letdown, I will admit. Now, I haven't heard back from Lencarta whether or not I can actually input a USB-C microphone into it. I haven't tried it because I don't have one, but as far as I know, you're kind of just stuck with the audio quality, which honestly is a shame. But This is kind of one of those things where you've got to bear in mind what you're getting for the price. It is a 200-pound device. For my US friends, that's how much it costs. Now, shoots 4K, 4K 60 at that. 1080 120, 2.7K, okay? Is stabilized, that's uncomfortable. And is cheap. Now, with these kind of things, there's always going to be something that's kind of cut in terms of like what corners are going to be cut, and I think it was the audio, which is a shame because I would love to use this. Now, I think it's like kind of usable, but it isn't ideal. Like this audio is good. I don't like the reverb. That's just because my office is not set up. If you guys could see what's on the other side over there, it's a mess. So on top of the audio being a bit of a the other thing was the dynamic range wasn't looking great. Like the overall image was looking like too sharp and the contrast was just way too high. The dynamic range was kind of meh. And I was like, right, I mean, it's okay, I guess, like for getting the shot. And then I connected my phone. And that was when it was like, when you connect your phone, that's when you unlock so many things with this little gimbal camera. I mean, okay, look, I understand why it's not accessible from the gimbal. At first I was like, why can't I just do this from the gimbal? It bugged me a bit, and to be honest, still bugs me a little bit. But it's because navigating on this small 1-inch screen, it would be annoying. Whereas using like a 6-inch screen to do that is probably a lot easier. Well, it is a lot easier, I've done it. That's what I do all the time. So yeah, I understand now, it makes a lot of sense.
To unlock the true potential of the Feiyu Pocket, you need to connect it to the app. So, as you guys can see now, I'm being recorded in log. I wasn't sure if the Feiyu Pocket had a log format before, but it does. It definitely does. You also are able to control it with your phone. So if I go ahead and press this button, and now you guys are, well, looking at whatever I want you to. Not really, there we go. And rotate more, and then look up. I mean, it's to be honest, it's kind of gimmicky. I never really liked these features on any gimbal, but it works.
So on top of being able to shoot log, you're also able to manually control the camera. Yes! Now, there of course is a problem with this. For some reason, the shutter speed is in increments of 1/30th. So the lowest you can go is to 1/30, and then the next up from that is 1/60, and so on and so on. I don't know why you chose 30ths. Because it's like you either have 1/25, which like, you know, is the equivalent of like a 360-degree shutter angle if you're shooting at 25 frames a second. Or you have 1/50, which is like 180-degree shutter angle if you're shooting at 25 frames a second, which is ideal. I was really surprised and kind of confused as to why it's 1/30. It is what it is. It kind of just means you got to use 1/60 because 1/30 is too low. So 1/60, and it looks correct enough. But with all that out of the way, manual controls and Wi-Fi activated and the log set up, I set about seeing how this could be a good action camera, because that's actually what Lencarta sent it to me for, and I think this is where it can shine the most.
So another cool thing that this thing can do, I mean a lot of gimbals can do it, but it is cool, right, is I can do subject tracking. And now it should follow me wherever I go. Now it's not particularly fast, I will admit, and that was on the fast setting. So if I, now on smooth setting, like it basically waited until I was at the edge of the frame, and now fast follow, backing it up. The dynamic range though, it's not bad. Going close. It does a decent job. I mean, it's like if you're doing a bit of moving around, I'd say it would work, but it isn't the most responsive. Obviously this isn't something like a £800 gimbal, $800 gimbal. So bearing that all in mind, the features that it has is actually really, really good. And over here, I think the tracking went off. And over here, see, like if it completely loses you, that's a shame. If it loses you, okay, there we go. It found me again. Now if I slowly move around, it's good. But if I'm too fast, and then if I creep back in, still doesn't see me, doesn't see me, doesn't see me, doesn't see me, doesn't see me. Wow, it still doesn't see me. There we go. Now it's locked on again. So this is it's also, I don't know, it's okay, but to be honest, this isn't something I would use a lot anyways. If I'm vlogging and I'm gonna set it down like this, then maybe. But even with that, I would just have it locked off. Like if I'm using my A7S II to vlog, for example, my RX100, I would just put it on a tripod. So I would pretty much do the same thing with this, and instead of having it move around, which can be distracting, I just keep it locked off. See, I'd rather just put it up like this. So if I'm gonna vlog, I would just put it down straight. Now I do admire the following aspect of things, the fact the gimbal can follow me. That is cool. But because it requires more setup, it just isn't something I see myself using a lot. What are you sniffing, Arlo? But it's a cool feature to have.
So of course, as this thing is a gimbal, like it's a little camera on a little gimbal, you're gonna get perfectly smooth cinematic footage immediately, which is why I enjoy it so much. It's something that you can walk around and vlog with. Let's say you have external audio set up, right? Let's just say, okay? You can vlog it and it will just look great, you know, there's no shake. Now, of course, you have the up and down movement. And of course, in that car shot I just showed you guys, there was a lot of shake. That was because this is what I used. It literally just clamps onto the car. There's no springs or anything, which is what you're meant to use when you're putting a gimbal on a car, because then you remove the like shakes from the road, which is what happened in that footage. But besides that, I think it looks really cool. Like when I was watching it back as we were driving, I was just like, oh, this looks so cool. And I think it's just funny because here's the thing, right? This thing is kind of cheap. So if it fell off the car, it wouldn't be the biggest heartache. And on top of that, all I have to do, let's say I find a cheap-ish system that has springs that I can attach to the car. All I have to do is put this on it and boom, I've got cinematic footage, I've got 4K 60 from a car driving around. Now yeah, it isn't like throwing my Pocket 4K on a gimbal on a car, of course it's not. But let's say you're on a really budget shoot, right? Or it's a situation where you just need to get the shot and you don't have the time to set up this whole thing, or the budget, like I said, right? Which in my case, I don't have the equipment to do this myself. It would have to be rented out. So let's say we don't have the budget nor the time. I just throw this on the car or hang it out the window and I get the shot. And it's a pretty decent shot. Now, of course, the dynamic range isn't the same, but I'm not comparing this to that. I'm just talking about this as itself. And the fact I can do that is pretty cool, and it's just really fun. I feel like this is the main aspect of what I like about this thing the most, is it's fun to use. And I love gear, I love cameras, and I love techie stuff. So this thing being like a tiny little gimbal in my pocket, it's just fun. So overall, what are my thoughts and would I recommend this to you guys? So I think it's a fun device. I don't really use that word a lot when describing camera gear. Like, oh yeah, it's excellent, you should buy it, or like, oh, it's so good. Like, this thing has its quirks, okay? The audio, yeah, it ain't that great. And yes, it's a little odd how the shutter speed is in 30ths, but it's like, that's nitpicking stuff. At the end of the day, Can you use this relatively easily? Yes. The BTS you guys saw of me running, doing a shoot in the woods, my friend had never used this before. I just gave it to him. I was like, hey, can you use this to film some BTS for this video that I'm making? And he's like, yeah, and he just got it. I didn't need to explain anything to. I said there's a record button and that's the mode button and that's it, which is kind of obvious because it has, there's a red dot for record and there's an M button, which, okay, M could mean anything, right? But it means mode and it's kind of obvious that it does. And once he knew that, he just used it. And I was genuinely impressed with how easy it is to use. And he even said so himself, how, like, he's not a video guy, he's a photographer, but he found it so simple to use. And at the end of the day, simplicity and a fun device, I think makes for a good device. Would I recommend this? Yeah. If you're looking for a little camera that is just fun to use, that you're not gonna, like, this isn't something you'd use on professional sets. Let me just be clear, okay? But let's say you're gonna go traveling and it's the kind of trip where you're not filming it for YouTube. Like you're going on holiday with your girlfriend, with your boyfriend, with your dog, and you're like, I just want to capture some things. They look relatively cinematic, look pretty nice. Like get some cool action shots as well because it'll be stabilized. Yeah, I'd recommend it. And for the price of £200, you know, like kind of a no-brainer as well. I do have an affiliate link below, so if you guys do purchase using my link, you'll get a discount. And of course, I get a bit of kickback as well, which I'm very, very appreciative of. Seen a lot of you guys using my Chopper color code recently, so thank you so much. Yeah, you behind the screen, I see you. Thank you so much, guys, for the support on everything recently. I'm getting so close to 1,000 subs. I was like 20 away one day, and then 2 people unsubscribed, and I cried a little bit. A little tear fell down my face. No, but really guys, thank you so much. Like it's hella cool that this little family started 4 years ago, 5 years ago. How old am I? How old was I when I started? Oh my God, I started this 10 years ago. And it's been through iterations of changes and stuff and me not being consistent, then being consistent, then being not consistent. Like now it's growing to almost 1,000 subs. I'm very appreciative. Like that's been a milestone for a while, but I'm gonna be way more consistent on this channel now. Like I actually give a damn about this. I like YouTube and I want this to be something I'm doing, you know, for the rest of my life really. YouTube's just fun. It isn't about the money, but it is just fun to do. And also I'm happy that I get to help people. That's the other thing. So thank you so much for watching, guys. Hope you enjoyed the video. Link for this will be below that like button. So if you enjoyed the video, smash it and I'll see you in the next one. Peace! Get up on my chair!
My feet. Boy, you got the wrong one. I gotta look over all of my publishing statements for Q1 as soon as the song's done. I gotta call up my mama and tell her I made it as soon as my log's done. I gotta read all my trade publications and sip my tea till it is all done. I think it's all fun. I need to know everything, who and the what and the where. I need everything. Trust me.